In this video, I'd like to give you some advice on how to be successful in this course and to offer some commentary on grading in the course. In order to be successful in this course, I would guess that most of you already know how to be successful in the course. There isn't any kind of mystery here. You need to attend class, and in this online environment, it means being on top of the modules on a week-to-week basis, and it means maybe attending the office hours, which I'll say a little bit more in a minute. Another key to being successful is to do the readings. And another key to being successful is to complete the assignments, whether they are quizzes, discussion posts, handing in the major assignments like the summary and the essays. Because if you don't do the readings and you don't do the assignments, you can't really be successful. We all know this, I think, that if you take an active and engaged approach to your learning, you will likely be successful. So I can't make any absolute guarantees that if you show up and do the readings and hand in all the assignments that you're absolutely going to pass and get 100% or whatever, but it's a pretty obvious starting point. So I said something about office hours, okay? Now, the online environment might be new to many of you, and everything that you need to be successful in this course should be on Blackboard. That if you do everything that Blackboard says you should do, you should successfully pass the course. That is, everything can be done online and done asynchronously. The question then becomes, how do we differentiate between the student who is successful in the course with a bare pass, say a 50%, just passes, and the student who is absolutely perfect and excellent and gets 100%. Both students are successful if we measure success on passing the course, but there are obviously gradations of success. And that's where an idea like grading comes into it. But regarding the office hours, okay, the office hours are there to help you, for me to answer any questions that you may have, for me to elaborate on anything in the textbook or the course in any way that I can. Okay, I'm not trying to hold back information here. I'm not trying to, trick anybody. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. So office hours are a time for you to ask questions, to express perhaps confusion, misunderstanding, or just throwing up your hands. I don't get it. Please explain in another way, or whatever, that we can spend some time doing that. So the office hours are not required, but ask yourself, if you attend the office hours, do you think you might get something out of them? Do you think that students who attend office hours may have a better chance at being successful than students who don't? I would hazard a guess that, again, yes, students who attend office hours may in fact do better because they're putting in more time, more effort, asking questions, gaining clarity about what's happening in the course. So there are ways to add to your success in the course. Can you pass the course by doing everything asynchronously by yourself in wherever your geography is? Absolutely. Can you improve upon that? Probably. Now it's up to you how you want to approach this course. But when we get to talking about something like grades, and what's the difference between an A and a B, we're talking about gradations of success, okay? Very successful, somewhat successful, marginally successful, okay? So there are different ways to be successful in the course. So when we get to something like grades, I will admit that grading is an imperfect process. I don't think anyone who's taught for a reasonable amount of time will truly endorse the grading process as something as purely objective. It's just not. It's a very complicated and imperfect situation. Personally, I'm not a big fan of grades. If I didn't have to give them, I wouldn't, but it's a necessary requirement for the institution that I have to give them. And for better or for worse, many students seem to like them as markers of how successful they are in the course. It also allows you to get into other programs if you're applying to other programs, and it may affect jobs. I don't know. I mean, I've never had an employer ask me what I got in my university calculus course. It's never come up as a topic of conversation. So we both take grades very seriously, and we also see the sort of stupidity of them at the same time. Okay, so they're a kind of necessary evil in some ways, and I could talk at great length about this. So sometimes, as perhaps a story that illustrates the point, sometimes in my face-to-face classes, I'll ask my students when we talk about grades the following question. If you hand in an essay in this course, how many spelling errors are acceptable? Now, the responses vary, but almost inevitably, there's a very quick knee-jerk reaction. 0. 0 spelling mistakes. Why would somebody answer 0? It's an interesting observation. There might be any number of reasons, but I'll just speculate here. 1. We all have access to spell check. Spelling errors are not acceptable because spell check should catch them all. We should all be careful proofreaders. I should reread the stuff that I'm actually handing in. What an idea, right? And I should catch the spelling errors myself. Okay? But just with those 2 examples, it's very easy to find holes in them. Spell check doesn't catch every spelling error. That if you have a word like friend, and you forget the R and you spell it fiend, I have a very good fiend. That's not a spelling error, it's just the wrong word. I guess it is a kind of spelling error, but you get the idea. Spell check doesn't catch everything. And through my career, I've seen lots of really funny examples of people not catching the correct word or the incorrect word, as it were. The second one is that, yeah, we should all be careful proofreaders of our essays. But sure, I was a student once, and there were things that I whipped off the night before and, didn't necessarily put my best effort into them and so forth, okay? So nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. We can have spelling errors. And so the question, if you want to think about it from, say, my side of things, becomes, what do I do if I see spelling errors in a paper? How do I grade that? So spelling is one component of writing, okay? If you have one spelling error, does that change your grade from an A+ to an A, or an A to an A-? Is that really what we want to see happen? So the student who answers, 0 spelling mistakes. Well, I think that's too harsh, right? Everybody can have a couple of mistakes, not a big deal. I can probably figure out what you meant. Okay? But if we just think of it in terms of number, if you have 1 spelling mistake, okay, 2, sure, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20, 30, 40. How many spelling mistakes do we have until we start to say, wait a minute, there's something fundamentally wrong here? This is why grading is a very imperfect process. Because I could set an arbitrary number like 5 and say, if you go 5 or more, I give you a 0 for spelling on the rubric. Maybe we could do that. I don't think that's really a good solution. Okay? That's just dealing with number. We could look at the kinds of spelling mistakes. Okay? It took me years to remember how to spell the word license. It's L-I-C-E-N-S-E, I think. Okay, license. I always had trouble with that word. So if I spell license wrong and I spell it with a C instead of an S, is that a problem? Probably not. People know what I mean. But if I spell license with a Q and a J, there's something else going on there. Okay, so there's different severities of spelling errors, and we're just dealing with spelling right now. So we could talk about organization in the same way. We could talk about idea development in the same way. And so there's hundreds of variables that are going on when I'm grading a paper. So this is why I say grading is a very imperfect process. Okay?